Peace, family. We are live right now. I'm getting myself together as I wait for Blue Pill and Alkebulan to log in. I see Blue Pill right there.
Peace
Peace, Blue. We already live.
Okay.
Bitcoin Bully gonna do a quick introduction, real quick. Just touch base with the people before we start. Yeah, who said it?
No, I was saying, Blue, what's up?
Oh. Peace, God.
Peace, Lord. How you feeling?
Man, I'm amazing. The anticipation, I can't even speak on the anticipation that I got for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, bro.
We're gonna pull up.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna make sure I bring some of that fire too. I'm going great detail like I never have before. Great detail.
Yo, for the people in the chat that are asking about the link for tomorrow's class, I'm going to generate that link after the show, so everybody will receive the link for tomorrow's class tonight. Don't want to give it out too early and have people sharing it. Keep it on. You logged in twice. You know that, right?
Yeah. Hold on.
But yeah, so yeah, family, you'll get that link tonight. Let me put the link to buy the ticket. It's going down tomorrow, family. The NFT, DeFi, and Metaverse Masterclass. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I just shared the link in the chat. Also, let me just show you the flyer real quick. It's going down tomorrow. We're about to start. We're gonna start the show in about 10 minutes. Just want this brother to touch base with the people real quick. Yeah, it's going down tomorrow, family. 12, 11, 21 from 1 to 6. We might go a little after 6 to make a little more room for Q&A. But this is the one you don't want to miss. You've been hearing me talk about it for about a little over a month now. Thank you to everybody who signed up. We received a great response to this one. So I know that the world is changing. I know that the people is ready for the change that is getting ready to come. And my job as Brother Rich to provide you with individuals that are amazing in their area and their expertise at what they do. So this brother's good at what he do. The brother want to show y'all something real quick, and then I'm gonna let the brother go, and I'm gonna get started with Blue and Alkebulan. But go ahead, Amir, go ahead, my brother.
What's going on, Brother Rich? How's everybody doing out there?
Oh, real quick, also, I'm sorry, my brother. Got to give a shout out to my brother King Simon. I can't forget that brother. That brother's one of the best with numerology. And the brother actually just sent me some good advice on the vibration of number 8 as it relates to musical notes in the note C. So that brother's always helping when it comes to understanding who you are on an energetic level. But if you would like information or help with who you are, you could text this brother and set up a consultation. All right. But go ahead, my brother. Let's put this back on the screen. The evil Bill Gates, the sinister
Bill Gates. But, you know, he's saying some real shit, but I'm gonna show you and tell you how early we're able to be. So he's saying that the metaverse will host most of your office meetings within the 2 or 3 years. We're not worried about what they're saying it's gonna look like. The thing is what it already looks like for those of us that are already in the space, right? So we've already been holding meetings, webinars, builds, classes, everything in the metaverse because we already have laid claim to the real estate that is available to us within that metaverse, right? And it's within that metaverse where we're currently building at. Here you see a example of a virtual room where individuals will come be able to sit down. I do have some of the NFTs or non-fungible tokens that we're going to be talking about tomorrow during the webinar on the wall that I own. And we also are able to present not only educational, but, you know, music. The YouTube streams do count when you come in here. You know what I mean? So it is monetary based as well. But we're far ahead of the game, family. We're far ahead of the game, man. What I'm showing you now is what they're attempting to do with what they're doing, but what we've already done. You know what I mean? You're looking at a whole metaverse space right here, right in front of your eyes. This specific building that we're in now, I call the Block Wall Street headquarters. I did purchase this building on the anniversary of Black Wall Street, the bombing. And on the inside, what I did in the beginning was set up, you know, memorial pictures of the original Block Wall Street and how it used to look. If we go outside, we can see and take a larger look. But this is the world right here. This is your new world. This is your new real estate. This is schools, malls. In fact, it's a mall right there. We can go shopping in and grab some NFTs at. Now, what I've done specifically with my space is I've set it up to be an educational center as well as an entertainment center. What you're seeing over here on the far left is an example of a known monument within Chicago known as the Regal Theater, located on 79th and Stony Island, to which I've been contracted to rebuild in the metaverse for the owner of that theater. If we go inside, he has also received a $1 million grant from Mr. KanyeWest to help rebuild it and turn it into a holographic theater. So, you know, I pay homage to him within the theater itself. But what you're seeing is a metaverse right here in front of your eyes with already, you know, you got entertainment on the wall for those that want to come look. So the offices that they're saying is going to take 2 or 3 years, family, we here right now. And we can already lay claim and do those things that they're saying is so futuristic and next level today, right now. So, you know, I just wanted to share a little bit of some of the things that we're going to be speaking about yesterday. And it goes way deeper than just these buildings, building up infrastructure. You know, digital identities are going to be some of the biggest commercial real estate in the space, meaning who owns you. You know what I'm saying? Blue Pill, Brother Rich, Cambada, Alkebulan, you know, who owns these individuals when we look at digital identities. And when we think, for those that study, you know, anything from the Moorish paradigm, when you look at your ens leges, right, which is your name in the all caps with the social security number, who owns that? Because it damn sure ain't you. So what we're seeing now is that on a whole nother level, but blockchain based. And as they say, everything within the US is commercial based. Everything within this blockchain space is really, really, really commercial based. So like I said, we're going to be speaking on how to get interactive with this space, also how to gain access to capital without actually spending what you put forth just to get in the space. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, tune in tomorrow and you're going to understand. Brother Rich, any questions or anything?
Blue nah, no questions. Blue, any questions?
Yeah, the main question that people should be asking themselves as well is, are there any plots around you that are available? And if so, how can people participate, you know, in land acquisition? Got you.
Definitely. So as we actually look here, this plot that I'm actually standing on, that's blank, when you first purchase, which is directly across from me and a lot of other, you know, popular real estate, this is an open plot right here. And when you get this, so everything you see within my infrastructure, I built myself. When you buy this real estate, you just get a square. This is what you get. What you put in there is what you put in there. Now, a lot of it is easily done, simply like a Minecraft game. Some things you're going to have to code and create that are customizable to your specific space. Now, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow during the webinar is showing individuals where they can lay claim to some of this digital real estate, the prices, and how you can access capital or utilize debt to gain access to the space. And then on the flip side, how to discharge that debt so that in the end, you possibly won't be paying back the full amount. And, you know, if you're good enough with the strategy that I'm going to show you, you can damn near discharge the whole purchase. So I'm gonna be walking through a lot of that tomorrow, Brother Blue Pill.
Let me share this with the people, so I can make my disclaimer, right? Because we are on a channel that pretty much pays homage to metaphysics. And, you know, I can't leave it to chance to think that people are able to, with their mind, understand that this is metaphysics, right? That the metaverse is metaphysics. Y'all do understand that. So there's a lot of commentary in the community about, oh, you know, the leadership is only focused now on acquiring digital land and not thinking about physical assets. And I want to explain to people that could be the furthest thing from the truth. Post 2020, we went quantum, right? So it's imperative that you understand that you can do both simultaneously, and that you can use a digital asset such as this even to empower and to build out particular framework and to do necessary screening so that you can ultimately move into a physical community that has backing in the digital realm where you're making, you know what I'm saying, all sorts of advances in a world where the playing field is level if you so choose to participate. What we have been offering you for the beginning of the year, and then, you know, me with you since last year, is people the opportunity to get involved, right, under their own particular will and volition. Now you don't have a choice. Right? So it's like you either take the information what's being offered to you, this $1 million worth of game, right? And you get with the aspect of the fact that I don't really think that this is something that you can ignore, because the Great Reset is precipitated on the fact that they are destroying one system to create a new one. And the new one is going to be strictly centralized, right? They're going to slave 2.0. So if you want to be the metaphysical maroon society, you have to learn to centralize. Thanks. Feel me? Thanks. This is the missing piece to the puzzle, y'all. So,
and let me piggyback off what you're speaking about as far as the actual land goes, right? The process that I'm going to be showing y'all, you know, as far as acquiring the debt and being able to discharge it, it is not solely pegged to the decentralized or the cryptocurrency space. You can easily take that debt and transfer it back into fiat and use it in the real world. And what I mean by that is, if you are collateralizing a digital asset, let's just say you got, I don't know, 100 grand worth of digital assets, and you're looking to acquire some land at maybe $40,000, $50,000, you can easily pull that debt from your original collateral without selling the collateral, and then on the back end discharge that debt, take the debt, transfer it back into fiat, and then go purchase whatever land you want. And then on the blockchain space, you're discharging the debt that you just issued to purchase the land. So on the flip side, you're getting the land for free. I really can't explain, bro. What I'm really giving y'all is, like you said, $1 million. This is priceless. You can't even put a dollar amount on being able to typically live for free if you can do it right. No dollar amount you can put on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Again, if the family trusts our ability as visionaries and even journalists and investigators, I'm telling you that what I'm reading in mainstream media right now is, like he said, they playing catch up to something. Technically, he already gave you the game 2 webinars ago. If you was in class on this channel for the last webinar or the last one before that, or even the one before that, you know more than 90% of the population.
Facts.
Right? And really like 98%.
Facts.
And this will embolden you at some point to not only get the information, but now you become not necessarily the expert in your community or in your social circle, but you become the person that can, you know, other people can go to. You become a resource. You feel me? So there's so many ways that we can explain this and sell it to you. I already know that you convinced, family. You got to go get 2 or 3 more people though. Right? And tell them that there's nothing that's going on tomorrow that should be more important than them getting this information that will unlock 2022 and beyond. Because the shit ain't gonna look nothing like how you remember it, even right now, by the time we get to January of 2022. You know?
All right. For those asking what time and if y'all can watch it after the class, yes, you can. Watch it after the class. You will have lifetime access to the course, so you don't have to worry about that. But other than that, I guess anything before you sign out, Amir?
Just let me say this for the naysayers that may be out there and, you know, may say, you know, stupid, dumb, why waste time, why waste money? Y'all don't even understand what's going on in front of y'all ass. And the ignorance that some may be showcasing is going to be the demise of your financial status within this new money matrix that we're entering. So, you know, take what you want and leave the rest, but don't turn the blinds out of what we're going to be showing you.
Yeah, and I can't listen to somebody who bashes the metaverse, but they troll on the internet all day. Nigga, you ain't going to be able to resist shit. You going to be in that motherfucker trolling with your avatar. Y'all need to cut that out. Y'all be in the comment section writing all types of negative shit, but you come on, man, cut it out.
They have positioned them to become what they signed up to be all along, right? A troll exists underneath a motherfucking bridge. Okay? So they're gonna be the people locked out the shit.
Crazy.
Underneath the bridge, hating.
Yeah, man.
While everything else takes place, and the only reason that they could be side with themselves is because they just didn't want to listen. And that's been the main issue with the community, right? They just don't want to listen. If they had positioned their trust in people and places, you know what I'm saying, or you know, prophecies and shit like that came to them prior, they would be so far ahead, so advanced.
Look how far ahead Dr. Sebi was. Then mainstream caught up with it. You could have got Dr. Sebi game in the 90s if he was in the conscious.
I was telling somebody earlier about how I almost went broke. I was doing an interview and I was like, yeah, I remember at one point, it was a small point when I was proselytizing so hard for CMOS, I almost went broke. I moved to the West Coast and I was going up against their gurus and shit because the white gurus ain't say CMOS or the conscious leaders didn't tell these people that this is something that they should be getting into. It was an uphill battle. I remember that shit. And now it's a multi-million-dollar industry.
Right.
And it's like, if only people would listen and do their proper, use your fucking pendulum, do your research, whatever, like pull a tarot card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can see people saying that, you know, this has been out, this has been around. True enough, right? Fortnite, Roblox, Second Life, all that's been around, but you ain't never been able to commercialize off none of this stuff. You're not putting anything in the Roblox and pulling out $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So y'all stop it. Knock it off for real. Y'all ain't been able to profit off any of these games unless you're one of the big gamers that's getting endorsements. But you're not selling anything in none of those lands and pulling that money out and doing anything in the real world or putting food on the table. So let's keep it real with ourselves.
Indeed. So with that being said, let's get on the show. And man, I appreciate you for coming on real quick.
No doubt. Thanks for having me on, Brother Rich. Brother Blue, salute. Alkebulan, like I'm a big fan, bro. Salute to the 44 energy that y'all bringing forth.
Appreciate you, God. A true 44 resonated. This brother was born April 4th. You know what I'm saying?
Straight fours. All
and he's from the Shy. So we're gonna talk about it tonight.
Y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna be tuning in though, okay?
All right. I see you tomorrow, my brother. Peace.
All right,
Peace.
All right. Let's remove this. Yeah, just wanted to touch base with the people real quick for everybody who signed up for that. You want to say something, Blue? You was about to say something?
This is these are exciting times, man. These are exciting times, right? Because even like when we talking about tonight, even when I'm on the stage and I'm in the fucking audience, yo, right? So even what this man be doing online with them fucking numbers, even what you do with your programming, with your episodes and your consistency, you know what I'm saying? With brothers like Amir is doing, like there's so many people, and there's mad sisters that need to be mentioned, right? There's so many people that's closer to it than further from it. That it's like, yo, only thing we need to do is listen. You feel me? To the people who are respectable, quote unquote, experts in their field. And it's like, you got access to the information that's gonna, you know, shift paradigms and change the world, right? Or put you in position to benefit from a paradigm shift that's already taken place. Because the flip side of that shit, I don't think you want that, my nigga. They got the shit that we used to read about in Behold a Pale Horse popping off right now. Like right now.
Yeah.
Like niggas is in concentration.
It's crazy, man. Niggas,
right? Everything is on the table. You feel me? It's not a game no more. And it's like the only thing that you need to do is, if you're not willing to listen and pay attention to the information, is really ask yourself why and then investigate that shit.
Indeed. All right. Family, let's get started with the show. Blue man, Alkebulan. I've been hearing y'all talk about Kanye and Drake and the constellations and Draco and Polaris and we often talk about as above so below, but in a when we're
in
reading
a metaphorical sense.
Yeah, but not in a real like this shit. Like you talk about it, Blue. Like no, literally as above so below. This nigga represents that constellation, and people, it seems unbelievable sometimes to people that Kanye, a man who's married to a white woman, Kim Kardashian, that everybody hates. How is this man representative of the Polaris constellation and Drake representative of the Draco constellation? So could we get into a little history of that and how can these two possibly be representative of these huge constellations for those who may not understand?
Okay. 11 years ago, it would be 11 years now, I already did Blueprint 322 in 2009. In 2010, I think they had us slated to do a follow-up lecture. It might have been Fear Black Planet, with Professor Griff in Atlanta. So Drake, as an artist, was coming out. He had his first single out, you know what I'm saying? And I was familiar with him prior to him, like since 2007. I heard the mixtape when they were shopping it in the industry, right, to get him a label deal. So I'm like, yo, this nigga's nice, right? He had the necessary elements. Like he kind of spit like a backpack rapper, but he was talking, you know what I'm saying, luxury and shit like that. He had a different type of lingo altogether, and he knew how to appeal to women. So when he popped on the scene, I'm like, yo, this nigga's gonna represent a paradigm shift, preparing for Blueprint 322. I was reading Time in the Technosphere, and Jose Arguelles just had a very succinct way of explaining mythological things in a practical sense. So that's the way that I was observing and seeing things, because when I got into numerology and I was using gematria, it just started speaking a language to me that I'm like, oh, everything is not what it seems in terms of it being surface. There's a mathematical code behind the surface, like they show you on the fucking Matrix, right? There's mathematical code that's behind the surface. There's really the coding responsible for how we interface with quote unquote reality, regardless of whether you want to perceive it as simulation or not, right? So once I started looking at this code, and I'm starting to see the similarity of the code, so a number that means one thing over here, that same number means, this thing over there. And seemingly those things would not have a relationship, but you as the observer, you're able to make these connections and these threads. And you're like, oh shit, I'm on to something. You feel me? So Drake, I think in gematria, his name came up to 234, which was the reverse of 432. Now in gematria, 432 equals hip hop, and it also equals the globe. You feel me? So I'm looking at hip hop and I'm like, is it a global phenomenon? Yes. Is it the 432? Is it the heart, right? The heart hurts of the particular planet? Yes, it is. Everywhere that you go and you find melanated people, they're going to be unified by what? By hip hop. And hip hop represents the drum, and the drum represents the heart, right? So I'm like, these things make sense to me. When I'm looking at Drake's information, his shit was like the North, right? Door, right? Not necessarily door, because door is 434, which is Dalif. But it was speaking about things that was very much indicative of who he was and what he represented at that time. So when we started researching and studying Kanye, right, his numbers spoke to the fact that his particular gematria number was the same number as Polaris. And when I looked up Polaris, and it was like the North Star, I'm like, okay, Polaris is the home of Ursa Minor, which is the little bear. I'm like, this nigga came out with the bear motif, with the polo teddy. And he's not even a low life, right? He resurrected this shit. Because we was doing teddies in the early 90s. But his fascination with fashion and everything, he single-handedly brings back polo with a pink polo, but he ends up with the teddy bear motif. So I'm like, damn, he's resonating strong with that. And then, once we look at the cosmic map, we start seeing the fact that there's something called a precession of the equinox. And when we were leading into 2012, a lot of that research that people were doing in 2012 was about the Mayan prophecies. So the Mayan prophecies automatically bring up precession of the equinox because that's the changing of the ages, right? But the precession of the equinox, they retrograde. They don't go forward. They move backwards, just like the zodiac do. Case in point, we're in Pisces, quote unquote, the age of Pisces, but they tell you what's the next age up, right? It's Aquarius, right? That's not necessarily going forward, because if it ended at Pisces, which is the last sign, then the next technically would be Aries, but it's recessing, is going the other way. So the precession of the equinox do the same thing. In the precession of the equinox, Ursa Minor is the fixed pole star right now in our reality. It's the North Stars, where Harriet Tubman utilized to what? Gain her way to freedom. It's the first newspaper for melanated people. Frederick Douglass named it the North Star, right? So it's a fixed point as well. Okay. And hip hop had that connection and that correlation. It's a fixed point. There's nothing above the northernest point of hip hop, where hip hop was created August 11th, 1973, right? It was created in Bronx, New York. The Bronx is the only part of New York City that is connected to the continental United States, and it's in the northernest part of New York. Everything else is islands. It's not connected to the terra firma of the US. It's islands. They exist in the ocean, right? So the Bronx, the Bronx is fucking ancestral. It's ancient. They did research on stones in the Bronx, and they like, yo, this shit was connected to another continent. It's ancient. It's like 75. The shit is old as fuck, right? And that's where hip hop originated from. Nothing ever went north of hip hop in terms of who sat in the throne. To the north, maybe to the west, but on the East Coast, right? Even think about DMX and the Lox. What did they have to do to sit on the throne or to even be received in hip hop? They had to come down to the Bronx, right? Nobody above the Bronx ever sat on the throne. And here this nigga go, he represents the northernest parts. Drake, Canada, right? I'm like, yo, the throne is about to shift. I said this in 2010, before the nigga even dropped an album. So we had went and did ceremony and all of that to the Serpent Mound. Because I'm like, yo, he's coming with the Draco energy. That's pure draconian, scorpion, typhonian energy that he's coming with. This nigga's half Jewish, right? And his main client, the people that he's mainly appealing to is melanated women. You feel me? He has the keys to the kingdom, right? Those are the universes. Those are the uteruses that attach to the universes. You feel me? He got control of the eggs. So I'm like, oh, you just can't ignore the situation. And then what did Kanye do? The first thing Kanye did was what? Took him, or attempted to take him under the wing as an understudy. He directed the first video, which didn't go so great. And their relationship been strained ever since. Right? So I'm looking at this shit, like I said, and I'm telling them back then, I'm like, yo, we already could see from that point. I said, Kanye's not a star, right? If we look at, okay, now how do we correlate that? We're all stars, right? We're all composed of stardust, my niggas. Let's get out of our ways. There's three main components elementally that make up who you are. That's hydrogen, it's oxygen, and nitrogen, and you carbon, right? That's the same shit that they find in the cosmos. That's the same shit the stars are composed of, right? Science has proven, and you can Google it, that you are composed of stardust, my niggas, right? And they call you a light sentient being. Where you think the light come from? Right? So the light that you possess is the same light that you looking at outside and seeing in the motherfucking sky. This 1 million years old that they telling you is no longer there. You're looking at a reflection of it, a refraction of it. And the shit is twinkling and sparkling, and light represents intelligence. So you're being communicated with a light that is light years away. They say that technically is no longer there, but it has current information for you. How, Sway? Right? So every nigga's a star, or as we have rephrased in our book, every naga's a star. That's a given, right? But every naga's not a constellation. And what does a constellation look like? A constellation looks like Ursa Minor. A constellation looks like Polaris, and it has a bunch of stars in it. So let's look at the family tree of a KanyeWest, right? A star or constellation who has stars underneath him. John Legend. Is he not a legend? Huh?
Indeed, yeah.
Big Sean. I fucks with Big Sean. I'm a fan of Big Sean's. I like his music. Y'all sleeping on Big Sean, right? Kid Cudi. They say this nigga's the most instrumental artist of the 21st century. Did we not see that? And they saying that in the documentary. And these was heavy hitters who were saying this shit. I still don't get it. But I'm sure that there's a millennial nigga in the chat that can explain it to me. Right? They said this nigga's the most influential artist of the 21st century. How, Sway? But look, that's neither here nor there. Because he also represents that particular throughway or that crossroads between generations. Right? He ushered in an entire new paradigm and pedigree of artists based on the fact that he was the Louis Vuitton Don with a pink polo. And he defeated 50 Cent on September 11th, which was billed as a Twin Tower ritual. Okay? It happened on 9/11, and they put him up against, his competitor. It was a marketing scheme, but it came in the same energy as Jay-Z and Nas, who were pitted against one another on 9/11/2001. And they were templated years prior by their predecessors, right? Who were Biggie Smalls and Tupac, who were the first Twin Towers that destroyed themselves, one after the other, just like the towers in 9/11 fell one after the other, right? What is 6 minutes in the earth, in Earth minutes? Or 6 months? What's 6 months in Earth minutes? You feel me? So he defeated 50 Cent. Gangster rap took a definite, it took a hit when 50 took a hit. Like, what other? Yeah, the nigga said he retired. What other gangster rapper? The gangster rappers now had to come out after that as fusion rappers, hence Lil Wayne and these niggas, right? This nigga was a fusion rapper. He was a gangster rapper and a backpacker. With kissing baby and shit with the people.
Nice.
Yeah, like a rock star gangster rapper or something like that with a skateboard. Yeah. A skateboard and a chopper. So the constellation, Virgil Abloh. Right? Is he a legend?
Hell yeah, in the fashion industry, yeah.
And there's mad other people in the fashion industry, right? We could talk about what's homie name? Taz Arnold. We could talk about the other dude that makes the hats. Don, what's his name? Don C, right? Legends. These are legends in the world of design and in fashion. You feel me? All the niggas that went to Paris with him with the fish stick picture that they was clowning and shit on South Park, all of them niggas is fashion icons. And they have set the template, right? He who dictates fashion, you feel me? You have an ability to have a compass that totally moves culture. So he becomes the north node or the guiding post of how culture moves in this world, not just this country, based on the dominance hierarchy of where he was able to position himself via the fact that this nigga knows how to beat on a goddamn you know, beat machine. You feel me? And rap. But I'm saying it's more than that. But that's how the package is presented to us. Right? So in so many words, yes, that's how I've come up with that observation of both of them being, you know, this cosmic narrative, this cosmic mythology. The only thing, the cosmic mythology, right? The canopy above our head is the cosmic mapping. It's the story, right? And the shit just changes characters, you know, based on how the fuck the skies move. But at this particular point in time, that's what we're looking at, right? But the truth of the matter, and I wish that at some point, if you let me share my screen, I'll put up some of the screenshots of what was actually taking place in the cosmos last night. Like, what was the cosmic canopy? You damn sure it was Draco and Polaris with King Cepheus right behind them on the overhead. Woo. King Cepheus in this conversation will be Larry Hoover.
So hold on, nah, don't do him like that, Blue. Come on, calm the fuck down, man. Come on, this nigga. Yeah. Oh, this gonna get good. Shit, before Alkebulan, before my brother starts to speak, I forgot to even mention why I decided to do this show tonight, because I was talking about the crypto with my brother Amir, Bitcoin Bully. But shout out to Jeremy for the super chat. And shout out to you. Want me to give Lupe his flowers? Shout out to Lupe. Listen, family, last night, the concert last night took me by surprise with Ye and Drake. I've never ever seen a concert that was so celestial, that was so cosmic. On stage, Kanye was like, yo, it's like we in the solar system tonight. And I'm looking at this concert, and my DNA is like, this shit is like hitting my DNA hard. And I'm like, all I kept thinking about is, yo, Blue, stay talking about this shit. Blue, stay saying about these two dudes and how this one represent that. And I'm looking at it, and all I could think about is the cosmos. And it was just, I don't watch this shit like 4 or 5 times, bro. It was an amazing concert. Ye did it absolutely. He looked like he got on moon boots. While you're looking at, he looked like he in outer space, and he got on
straight up got on moon boots.
You know what I'm saying? And he's walking in outer space. You got the stars. I mean, you got the smoke. I mean, it was like family.
He got the orange gloves, bro. Look, this is not even a conversation about his Ye 44 resonated. The nigga's 44 right now doing this shit, right? It's the most monumental year of his life. But what have I always told people? What's the color that correlates with orange? And you just said somebody sent you something about what? About the music note? What you just said?
C. King Sound,
right?
Yeah.
What you think the music note that lines up with 440 is in the color? Nigga, is C. That's why somebody said what? It was 8? 440. Talk my shit. So yeah, he even had the orange gloves. Come on now.
Indeed. Alkebulan, you want to chime in before Blue go into this? He show us these slides that he want to show us.
Yeah, it's right on cue, right on point. Again, KanyeWest serves as a very key motif in this, prophecy that we're moving through as the rise for the Black Messiahs. Prior to the Lionsgate, I documented KanyeWest, going through his trajectory, toward the sun. We are literally living in Kanye West's beautiful, dark, and twisted fantasy, right? So even documenting the Christ motif when it comes to Kanye West, I pointed out, when he was 33 years old back in 2011, he came out at 33 years old, with the Heru chain dripped into all red, right? And then if we come back present moment, at 44 years old, you know, he came back with the all red at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Again, this is where the Falcons
in Atlanta, in the 44 capital out this bitch. I need my plaque, niggas.
Look though, look. So with Kanye West representing this whole motif that is Christ consciousness, right? Him running with the idea of him being Jesus, and you know, the whole mythos, it played out. The symbology was there, you know, but also too, this was prior to the Lionsgate. I stated the fact that Kanye West represented the gatekeeper. He represented the individual that was going to open up that portal to allow real hip hop to resurface back, right? But also too, during the Lionsgate, again, Kanye West serves as Heru the Falcon. You know, so during the Lionsgate was all running synonymous with a physical application to engage with raising your consciousness by way of activating that Falcon, or what we call that Kundalini energy, right? So during the Lionsgate, I told people the Lionsgate is all in reference to sun gazing. When you go into Kemet and you see the Sphinx, the name of the Sphinx is the Herum Aket, which means the rise of Horus in the horizon, right? And again, Horus runs synonymous with the color red. So I said during the during the gate, it's important that we sun gaze, because what happens is when you sun gaze, you stimulate the thalamus reticular nuclei. Now, if you look in the brain, right, you look in the brain, you'll see the medulla oblongata. It runs synonymous with the falcon. If you look in Kemet, you see the falcon. The falcon has a sun disk on its head. That's the thalamus. So in essence, when you sun gaze, you're stimulating that thalamus reticular nuclei that is then triggering an electrical current via what you call the thalamus pacemakers that trigger the electricity to be stimulated within the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for raising your level of consciousness. And that's activating that falcon. That was a real-time application that was supposed to be done during the Lionsgate by way of, again, Kanye West serving as that motif to represent that Phoenix rising. And lo and behold, August 27th, we got news that in Chicago, he lit himself on fire. And 2 weeks prior to that, I was telling people Kendrick Lamar is going to follow suit right after Kanye West. Lo and behold, August 27th, not only did we find out that Kanye West lit himself on fire, which again represented the motif of the Phoenix rising, but the same day Kendrick Lamar came out as well, featured in a video, and he mentioned Kanye West in the song himself, you know, both serving as Geminis. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. Kanye West again serves as a gauge, you know, because as Blue said, Polaris the bear is the North Star. The North Star, if you get your natal reading done, that's the North Node. That's the most magnetic area in your chart. Not only that, but that's like the finger that guides you and directs you on where to go. Everybody knows who sits at that seat at the North Star. The solar system follows the dictates whoever is sitting at that seat, because everything rotates around the North Star. So if you, again, gauge Kanye West and watch what he represents, we're not necessarily supposed to follow Kanye West, but Kanye West, again, serves as what is taking place, not only celestial, but also biological within all of us on this planet. So, you know, in essence, Kanye West is a constellation. We ourselves are, you know, playing out different motifs within our own personal existence in reference to us naturally being tethered to the universe. And this is why it's so important to understand our symbiotic relationship to the stars.
Look, you know how he's a constellation?
Say it again.
You know how he's a constellation?
How?
He could give $1 to every one of you niggas alive and still have 2 billion left.
Stupid.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Who's fucking with that, huh?
That's a fact. Look,
my niggas cooked. He's semi-cuckoo. And he could give $1 to every person alive on the planet and still have 2 billion left. And the nigga clearly has, you know, some mental stumbles. You feel me? So what would a fully coherent, a fully focused, a fully activated Kanye West be capable of? In terms of leadership. Now, I made this point as well. In terms of community leadership, these the niggas to go to. Look at what they amassed and put together in a few weeks. The magnitude of this concert, how they were able to fundraise on the behalf of the big homies. Think about this. What if they did a community-funded concert such as that and put 40 mil, right, in crypto? And let Chicago manage that bread and move it and multiply it 1,000 times over if necessary and need be. And then this be the fund that goes back to the community, right? These niggas is your leaders, family, in terms of who can get it done in the shortest amount of time, bringing the people together. And then what? Music has a way to do what? Program directly. Your subconscious gauges are down. Your guards are down. When you're listening to music, you're totally open and receptive. And science has shown when you go to a concert, you become one with the performer. There's science that shows that. Fuck what Travis Scott just showed you, right? And then he did what? He redeemed his role as Jesus by redeeming the Draco, right? From what? My nigga was virtually untouchable after that concert. Mm-hmm. It would be insensitive for Drake to do his own concert. He had to be brought back in. Kanye brought him back to life on that stage. And what did the nigga do to repay him? Took shots at the throne. He's a Scorpio. That shit is like that narrative when they be like, the turtle let the snake ride his back across the river. And it was like, just don't bite me.
Yeah, you see it. Yeah, you seeing the conjunction right there in reference to a constellation.
Yo, the minute he got on stage, he went Scorpio and they turned the stage red, right? His Mars kicked in. Shout out to my brother Malik, right? Deshaun, he's a cardiologist. Brother Rich, we got to talk about this. These cardiologists is on something else, man. He explained in cardiology. Oh, my full apologies. Alkebulan, did you finish what you were saying?
Now, Blue, you the master of cutting people off, bro.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Blue. Yo, Blue sometimes I just let Blue just go in. Like,
Blue's the master.
All right, Blue. All right, bro.
Blue the master.
Nah, my apologies. I get passionate because you know that I don't do that shit. I hate when it's done to me. So if I did it and it's an oversight, I do apologize.
No.
I caught myself.
Blue,
I just want to touch
in the zone, man. It's all good. Blue be in the zone. Go ahead, Alkebulan.
No. I just want to touch on that point again that, this, we're looking at, a situation that's leading into something, a specific date that we're looking at. We'll touch on it, but 2050 in reference to Cepheus, the Ethiopian king. Again, whoever plays the role at the North Star, the solar system has to follow the dictate. So when we're talking about Polaris the bear being replaced by Cepheus the king, which Blue had mentioned represents Larry Hoover, that's going to shift the whole paradigm. Larry Hoover, again, represents the uniting of all the indigenous people in this land in reference to coming out and merging the Bloods and the Crips. So when you see that as a mass ritual in the sense of these two gangs unifying, that's going to stimulate the collective conscious of the melanated people in this country to come together and unify. So we're looking at, again, a situation that's going to take place, but this is just the foreshadow of it. Drake and KanyeWest, again, serving as two constellations, but this is leading into something that's going to, envelope the world in its totality. So we're looking at, again, Cepheus, the Ethiopian king.
Yeah, before Blue go into them slides, I just want to, I see somebody had posted this comment. There's a dude on Instagram, Rod Hayes. And I've been hearing him talk about, people have sent me videos of the brother talking about Larry Hoover, and the conversation that the brother is having is very, very, very interesting. So let me just read this. I mean, it's wild shit. If if you're not awake, you'd be like, what the hell are they talking about? But let me just read this comment. The Galactic Federation wants to meet with Larry Hoover. The GD knock was given. Mexico earthquake. Hurricane Larry took place in September. Ask Rod Hayes and Christian Vargas. I don't know who that is, but tell me about what the hell Larry Hoover, these hurricanes and the Galactic Federation and this and that. I mean, make it make sense. A lot of people are like, well, what they talking about? Because when you first hear it, you like, you just started hearing Larry Hoover's name out of nowhere, all everywhere. Hurricanes and rappers and people speaking on it. So expound on this Larry Hoover, Blue. I know you want to show these slides, but just expound on this aspect of Larry Hoover and the cosmos and all this stuff, my brother.
Good. Before Blue goes into the slides and he touched on that, I want to say this. You know, there was an article that came out in 2020, late 2020, reference to the Galactic Federation, right? So, you know, they were speaking about the fact that, you know, the chief over there in Spain was in contact with him. This was prior to the conjunction that took place, you know, and this plays a huge role as well, because we're not truly understanding how this coronavirus narrative and all of this plays into the cosmic script in its totality. So the Galactic Confederation were, you know, a group of, you know, higher, you know, extraterrestrials who are looking for an allegiance of the original peoples. And 2020, again, was all in reference to not only us working out our karmic debt, but fulfilling our self-fulfilling prophecy with no outside influence being involved. So this is the reason why the original people were placed in a quarantine in 2020 by the Galactic Confederation, so we can have that opportunity to do just that prior to the conjunction. You know, so the Galactic Confederation, again, plays a pivotal role in this scenario. And with Larry Hoover, you know, again, he's a big figure in the cosmic script. So, you know, if Blue wants to touch on the Larry Hoover and the personage of him being not only, you know, the Cepheus, but also too playing a role in the Galactic Confederation.
Indeed. Before Blues go in, I do plan to, I want to get Rod Hayes on the show, so I'm gonna be trying to contact that brother because I definitely want to hear that brother's take on all this. But go ahead, Blue.
Yeah. When we talk about the nexus of youth culture, and like I said, the youth always represent, you know, the lifeblood and the vitality of the species, right? They are the future. They're the ones that are responsible for not only propagating the species, but they carry the charge. They're the ones that, you know, responsible for the fashion, the language, all of that shit, right? So the nexus of that was Chicago at the time, and Larry Hoover was, you know, he was the person that was considered the quote unquote leader of that particular demonstration, right? He commanded thousands, and it was his leadership skills as a youth early in the game, him and Jeff Fort, that they were able to galvanize, you know what I'm saying, leadership amongst what's considered, you know what I'm saying, the toughest of the toughest, right? So if we're talking about the nigga hierarchy or the nigga kingdom, you feel me? He would be at the top at that particular time. But this is not how we identify, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, the niggas. You know what I'm saying? This is when it was growth and development, you know what I'm saying, community empowerment and things of that nature. They're coming straight out of the Black Power movement. You know what I mean? This is when they still were civic minded and socially minded in regards to understanding that this shit bleeds into politics. Like, if you control masses of people in your community, you know what I'm saying, especially the way Chicago politics was set up, you like an alderman. You feel me? So he obviously was somebody, you know, that just had that particular, like, let's say, because we would have to rewind the script and say, okay, what's the precedent that has already been set? The precedent that already was set was Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. And him saying what? That I'm guarded and connected to this particular federation as well. Nobody has been able to say that that's cap. So somebody else that comes along after that has the galvanization ability to bring the youth together. Because, I mean, Brother Rich, you understand, even being in New York, right? What was the focus and the impetus? The NOI, even in New York, splitting with 5%, showed you the dichotomy. The youth went that way, and then it was only, you know, elders and quote unquote, you know, the older folks was, you know what I'm saying, stuck with the NOI. And people were like, yo, how's that going to survive? They don't have the youth. But the nation had, the nation of gods and earth had the youth, right? I think that it would be the same thing looking at it in the Chi-Town, and these are our warriors. So he already got a warrior spirit. We know that he must come from that part of the cosmos that produces the warriors. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's us stepping outside of our roles and willing to look behind the mask to say, who are we really? They be like, yo, I'm God's child. God don't play with his. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Well, who are you? What part of the cosmos do you belong to? What God? Right? And that's what we're getting down to. Our willingness to, see ourselves to be like, look, some of us that are walking the earth have larger assignments. And those particular people that are walking to have those larger assignments also come with a level of protection. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, at some point, enough has to be enough. We just can't allow like all political prisoners to languish and die in jail. This is the last one that has a name and a connection that can motivate and galvanize a youthful, demographic to do something, because the youth got the power. But they're not talking about Abu Jamal. They're not even talking about what you call it, Matulu Shakur no more in their music. But when they were, you started seeing shit happen in their cases. You started seeing, like, the more people used to talk about them in public, shit would happen and move in their case. It's the same thing with ancestor worship. When you stop saying these people's name, are they alive? What is the strength factor? What does their force field around them look like? So this is going to galvanize Larry Hoover to ultimately shift, right, some level of his incarceration or imprisonment. To some degree, we're going to see a change. We're going to see something move. Right? This was not for naught. This put a lot of cosmic energy into the universe, and it came under the pretense of unity in the midst of what? We just lost a rapper the other day. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are still dying in these streets. Right? What do we have that could balance out what we experience with Astroland and all of these other things that have been happening in hip hop, right? What do they got to put on the scale that balances that out all year? It's just been niggeration. You feel me? So this was an offering, you know what I'm saying, that I feel is gonna have implications that can potentially, give our family that moment just to see themselves. I remember that last time when we was able to see ourselves when Nipsey died, you know what I'm saying? And you started seeing sensibilities come out of people in the community that you never knew even had that shit. They was talking about peace and unity and truces and squashing shit, and you like, damn, what happened? Like, where did that go with our people? We don't even attempt conflict resolution. We don't even attempt to make examples of who's the bigger individual, knowing damn well that these children, that's all they're looking for. They like, do y'all solve problems different? Because if not, shit, I'm go back to demon time, At least they tell me don't be lacking. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas is up there hugging and kissing like you best friends. So
you still got them slides, Blue? You want to show some slides?
The slide, pretty much for the most part, it was just going to show the sky.
Okay.
And where those constellations were at last night. But I think that we've already discussed and established, that narrative and that mythos. And if you can, Alkebulan, can you just elaborate just a little bit on who is Cepheus, you know what I'm saying, and how that mythology kicks in?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look up Cepheus, basically you see you see in reference to Greek mythology, right? But Cepheus ties a lot further back than that. Cepheus is the Ethiopian king. Cepheus is the father of Andromeda. So even going as far as to say, even 50 years from now, our galaxy itself is beginning to merge or align with Andromeda. And eventually it's going to be one galaxy, right? So we got the Andromeda galaxy, and then we got, the Milky Way. We got our galaxy, right? So in essence, then Cepheus is going to bring in not only itself as this constellation, because Cepheus represents one of the 7 that rotate around the North Pole, right? So you got the basic 12 that we all know about, but then you got 7 up top that rotate around the North Pole. Cepheus is one of those, you know. So Cepheus also as well plays in a motif when it comes to the Anubis figure as well. You know, Cepheus deals with, you know, the ideology of, again, like taking the place of another constellation in reference to Polaris, and having a seat at the throne. But these are constellations that we're not too familiar with, and Cepheus ties again further back than Greek mythology. So you know, I want to tie Larry Hoover into this as well, because Larry Hoover not only represents the celestial aspect of Cepheus, but Larry Hoover also represents a biological perspective of things. So when we look at, you know, the Black Disciples, we look at their symbol, and their symbol is a 6-pointed star. So when we look in the body, right, the symbol that represents that within the body is called the benzene ring, right? And the benzene ring is attached to what you call the aromatic amino acids. The aromatic amino acids is tryptophan, phenylalanine, and tyrosine. And these are all 3 amino acids that are the precursor to the process of melanin being made. So in essence, not only is Larry Hoover being liberated, but again, that is a motif to represent the aspect that we are to be liberated by light. So our liberation comes by way of biological illumination from this benzene ring that we naturally have within us, that again is a precursor to the process of melanin being made. Because when you look at the benzene ring looks just like the Black Disciples star. So in essence, this is why our ancestors always pointed us back to Sirius, because they understood not only that we process light via these higher star systems and these constellations, but it's actually a math that they followed in reference to what you call the Dirac delta function. And the Dirac delta function deals with the pulse that comes from a source. And they knew that with us having this photon trap called the benzene ring, which is a hexagon, we have the capacity to embed the electromagnetic radiation that are coming from these higher star systems, these constellations, by way of the benzene ring, to liberate us via light. You see, so again, Larry Hoover and Cepheus tie into a celestial aspect, but also too, from a biological perspective, Larry Hoover is being liberated, but by way of him being liberated, we're also being liberated by way of a biological illumination with the benzene ring and the hexagon as well. So this is a as above so below phenomena that's taking place. And, you know, again, Cepheus by 2050 is supposed to take the role of Polaris the bear at the North Star. And the North Star is the North Node in your natal chart, which deals with the most magnetic area within the solar system, that the solar system itself has to follow the dictates of whoever is sitting at that seat. You see, so that's what's taking place. You know, when you talk about a black planet, when you talk about the original people all coming back online, you're looking at an event that is supposed to do just that. You know, so prior to 2050, you're going to see a lot of bloodshed. You're going to see a lot of rituals taking place. You're going to see a lot of things that are going to try to combat this from happening. But in essence, it can't be stopped. You know, our planet itself is becoming very electrostatic. So these individuals that are pushing this Omicron, that is pushing these viruses, their bodies can't acquiesce to the higher frequencies that are coming in, because they don't consist of the benzene ring, which is the hexagon, again, which serves as the representation of the motif for the Black Disciples, symbol of the 6-pointed star. You see, so, you know, this plays a whole concept from a biological perspective. And again, you're going to see a lot of things take place prior to 2050, but that's the end result, is Cepheus taking that role, and us as the original melanated people, you know, taking our seat back on the throne.
You know, I've heard a lot of people. Blue alluded to this a little earlier. You hear people say, you know, I'm God, or you know, I'm God having a human experience, or I'm a cosmic being. But I don't hear people a lot of times speak about where they're from You know, we know we're visiting here. You know, we know we're projecting a hologram here. I think the only person I can remember that I can recall saying specifically where they're from, I remember Dr. York when I was real young. People used to say Dr. York said he was from planet Ritz and shit. And I thought that was the weirdest, craziest shit in the world when I was young, because I don't hear nobody saying they're from a planet specifically. I hear saying we're cosmic beings. But how do you find, why is there so few people who seem to tie their heritage, if we're going to talk about our heritage, to a specific, like some brothers say, I'm from Galaxy 7 or I'm from here. We don't hear that a lot. Why is that? There's only like a select group, and they could just be lying, capping, bullshit. I don't know. But I just know a lot of people, teachers included. I don't hear no teacher saying, I'm specifically from here. How do we find out where we're from specifically?
So that all ties in again to being a decoder of your physical reality. And it's a certain discipline and a practice that you have to acquire to in order to allow that process to happen. You know, we were speaking on the 44s earlier in the show. And, you know, the 44 is again, the thread that runs through everything in existence and connects everything. You know, scientists, you know, call it string theory. The Dogons understood it as the neurons because they look at the body as a whole. In reference to microbiology, they understood that the neurons themselves were connected. And, you know, by way of us continuing to follow a discipline by going outside, sun gazing, planting our bare feet in the ground, sunbathing, meditating, what this is going to do is continue to ionize the plasma. And when you ionize the plasma, the charge density within the body becomes greater, because all of our ancestors understood that the stars that we look at out in the sky is what is responsible for charging the magnetosphere of the Earth. And the magnetosphere of the Earth then charges the atmosphere that we exist in, that they deify in Kemet as Shu and Tefnut. The atmosphere then charges the body, and the body then charges the plasma. So we are naturally tethered by way of the charge density via the plasma within the stars that exist above us. So it's all in reference to, again, being a decoder of your physical reality, but you can only do that by ionizing the plasma, and that's following a certain discipline by eating the right foods and going outside, sun gazing. Because when you ionize the plasma, you by default generate a larger neural network. So within your own personal experience, this then gives you the capacity to understand where you came from the stars, because your physical reality is just a duplicate of what's actually playing out within the cosmic script. You know, so in essence, if you are ionizing the plasma and if you are living a certain discipline within your physical existence, generating a larger neural network is going to give you the capacity to take two things that seem like they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, synthesize them together to create the bigger picture. You see, because again, our physical existence just represents pieces. A small spectrum was actually what's taking place within the cosmos. But if we can then have the eyes to be able to gauge and see actually what's taking place and know the real meanings and the underlying pinnings of what's taking place within our personal experience, then that way we can actually understand where we come from within the cosmos by way of certain signs, by way of numbers, by way of symbols, by way of running into certain people, by way of synchronicity or running into a certain book that then leads you to that book. But again, that only happens by following a certain discipline. And it's all in reference to doing the work. Doing the work doesn't have to be something that's so strenuous. Doing the work is, again, going outside, plugging your bare feet in the grass, because it all starts with the body. So when we can fashion the body in such a way to acquiesce to the celestial environment, then the celestial environment is going to imitate us and communicate information to us. And then our patterns within our physical reality is going to reflect that. And again, we're going to be able to synthesize things that seem like they're completely opposite within our day-to-day experience, merge them together to create the bigger picture that is playing out within the stars.
Yes. And I think that our ancestors were very clear on where they came from. That was their whole shit. They had the coordinates, the exact location.
Exactly.
Right? I'm beaming back to this specific place where I come from. But they, like he said, their regimen was different, and their discipline was orientated towards them orientating themselves towards celestial constellations. That's what their whole society was built around. And yeah, I mean, they literally built their civilizations around celestial constellations and them aligning themselves directly with it so they could go home when they tapped out of the physical 3D reality. You know what I'm saying? And they came over here and built this shit the same way for the same reason.
Yo, you think York was bullshitting Blue when he said he was from Planet Ritz?
No. I don't think nobody's bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? The reality is too vast. There's some aspects to what he was saying was true, even if it wasn't physically true, right? It became so much a part of people's mental prism that there's a level of truth to it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how people use that information to gauge and find out where they were from, right? So, you know, again, we were already entertaining a metaverse. It's called a mental mind. Like, there's a whole reality that we entertain every day that doesn't physically exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think he was hitting on something that has yet to be seen, but there's more and more emerging information about Nibiru every day, every year. They can't hide that. That's not a falsehood. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Yeah, I see somebody in the comment. Y'all mentioned Rashad Jamal. Yeah, shout out to that brother. I hear him talking. I've heard him mention where he's from in the galaxy. So yeah, shout out to that brother. I got a question. I see Manny the Great made a comment. He said, I have the Orion constellation birthmark on my side. I want to, and that brings me to a question about birthmarks and why we call them birthmarks. If we are talking about as above, so below, microcosm, macrocosm, and we're viewing the universe as this huge cosmic body, and if we're the micro of that macro, we incarnate down here with a birthmark. If a part of our body if parts of our body represents parts of the cosmos, if I have a birthmark on an arm, is that telling my conscious and subconscious where I'm from in the cosmos because it's on a specific part of my body and my body represents a specific part of the cosmos? Will we be able? You think that makes sense?
I think that would be well worth researching. You know what I'm saying? That can be a clear indicator that's hidden in plain sight that people haven't even thought about yet. But I think that's worth looking at.
You know, and with that being said too, you know, but we got to take in heed to that, you know, that language, that ideology. Where does that actually come from? The birthmark, like where do we learn that from? Did that come from our culture, or is that a custom that we've adopted from a different tradition? Like, is that from a people that, you know, doesn't, you know, have our best interests at heart? So, you know, the birthmark, that's always been common knowledge in the sense that that's more pertaining to, you know, our past life, or, you know, our connections to the cosmos, which again, it could be that it could be just that. But, you know, in essence, you know, even we look at birthmarks, etc., but we have a, you know, a belly button, right? But we never really look into that, but that connects us directly to our mother. You know, it's also known within mythology that we have a connection via our solar plexus to the sun by way of what they call a fiber or a silver cord, you know, from our belly button to the sun, to the galactic center. You see, so, you know, these markers that we have on our bodies do serve as a signature that represents, you know, something higher than the physical reality. But, you know, it does play a role, and I think it's definitely something, you know, to look into.
Indeed. Let's give me some questions, family. I want to take some questions from the people. This is a very interesting conversations that the Black community, so-called Black community, doesn't entertain, because we're only supposed to think about certain things, and we're only allowed by our culture to think about certain things. So it's definitely a much needed, important, great conversation I'm having with these two brothers. And like I said plenty of times before, I can't wait for the book Convo with the Cosmos to come out. I think it's the direction that we're going in as a spiritual body. So just can't wait. But give me some questions, family, so I can ask these gentlemen. Let me see. Somebody just said climate change, question mark. What's your thoughts on climate change? Bullshit, real? Are we causing it? Are they causing it? Talk to me.
I think that as we see the way that they use propaganda, the way that they use situations, they layer stuff on top of stuff and call it something else. Mm-hmm. So their research and their study for 30 years, they've been speaking about this and utilizing this as propaganda. But also, I think that further research also has them understanding this black sun aspect of us coming into contact with different celestial bodies that's going to heat this planet up, and us ourselves, you know, the inner sun inside of us, our corona rising taking place. When they talk about that carbon footprint, they're really speaking about carbonated people and the fact that we are heating up and emitting radiation, you know, gamma rays, like different bandwidths of frequency that they are registering. They got, nigga, as many times as they done ran down on us with them helicopters, they have the thermal cameras that can definitely, you know, read your signature on another level. That, you know, we're not, again, we don't see ourselves for who and what we are.
Right.
Right.
What we see, 1%, Blue? What we see, 1% of the light spectrum?
Huh?
What do we see, 1% of the light spectrum? Sorry to cut you off.
They say like 3%.
Okay. All right. Sorry to cut you off, guys.
But that's you know, that's for, I guess they was gauging those numbers when people were actually utilizing their vision to see shit. So imagine the body that they talking about now that's been so abused is going to be a decreased amount that you actually see, and then you in denial. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things to work against what you even see in a visible spectrum that you're able to integrate, you know what I'm saying, to make sense of. So people is just like, you know, and things that, you know, the irony of it is that things are becoming that much more visible these days. Like, you can really see this shit if you're looking for it. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And then there's stuff that's, you know, popping up from other dimensions because that veil is very thin right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, you know.
And I'm gonna touch on that too. You know, even if you look at carbon, you know, carbon is the binding molecule. It's the organic molecule that binds all the elements. So, you know, I give this analogy, you know, when you look at a piece of fruit, you know, fruit is made up of 3 gases that are invisible to the naked eye. But how do you get 3 gases to crystallize into something physical that you can eat? You got to introduce carbon into that matrix. So carbon literally has the capacity to crystallize gas into a physical nature. And by way of us, again, existing within this etheric reality, you know, what scientists call the dielectric field, you know, what they call dark matter, dark energy is counter space. So with us serving as semiconductors, not only do we process light, but we store it as a charge. So all we need to do is raise our capacitance and our voltage to be able to extrapolate information from this field that we exist in. But that's by way of carbon, you know, and that in reference to letting off radiation. Albert Einstein studied black body radiation. So yes, when we're talking about climate change, we're literally talking about the black body. We're talking about the Fourier transform. We're talking about, you know, these sciences that these individuals were studying.
Right.
But, you know, in essence, when a black person walks into a room, we literally change the charge density in the room. You know, so when you walk up in there, when you got, you know, more of a European, you know, population within a room, you walk in, all eyes are on you. And it's because of the radiation that you're letting off. You literally change the charge density in the room.
Let me ask you this, Rich, because you are best qualified, right, to answer this question, as is anybody else that's in the chat that lives in New York City and they've been to Harlem, specifically 125th Street. When you get to 125th Street on any given day, is the temperature not 5 or 10 degrees hotter?
Oh, facts.
And I'm talking specifically on 125th.
Yes.
Nowhere else, not even other places in Harlem, but 125th Street is always 5 to 10 degrees hotter.
Facts.
Because 125th is built on top of a river. There's a river underneath 125th Street. And the New York Daily News has said that 125th is the most economic, what are the words that I'm looking for? the vein of commerce between one river to the other, they said that they make the most money in New York City on 125th Street. And you might be asking yourself, how, Sway? The only thing they really selling is fucking sneakers out there. But the way that it generates commerce from sunup to sundown, right? Imagine in your mind, 125th Street is gold, right? That's where the golden people are. At the base of New York, because for y'all that don't know New York, right? Think about Manhattan as a long island. At the base of it is Wall Street, right? Where the World Trade Towers was at. At the top of it, the northernest point of Manhattan is Harlem, where the melanated people are concentrated. That's the capstone, right? Those are gold. Those are people that have gold inside of them. At Wall Street, at 55 Water Street, they have trillions of dollars of gold bars, right? They go from 55 Water Street, 3 blocks to World Trade Center. They showed you it in the movie Die Hard 3. When they went down there and they were stealing the gold, right? You can Google this as well. There's gold underneath the shit. After 9/11, they were speaking about that, how they were stealing the gold, right? So they got the gold at the base next to the water, right? And then you go up to Harlem, where it's between 2 rivers, 2 water, right? And underneath it is a river, and you got melanated people doing commerce on that corridor, charging it up. It's 5 degrees or 10 degrees hotter than any part of the city. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what melanated people represent. And they are attacking carbon, period. These are the same people who built their industries, right, off of fossil fuels, which is carbon. And they continue to burn them. They burning the jets to go to the conferences to talk about the shit. It's silicone now. They're bringing in silicone and pushing out carbon because these people are actively merging with machine. And I don't understand why we don't get that, right? Man ain't man no more. And if left up to them, they're mankind, but they're going into some other shit, right? They're going to deviate. They can't go from mankind into human. They can't adopt the color, but they're going to go from carbon-based to silicon-based because they're sulfur-based people. So you're just looking at chemistry. You're looking at biology play itself out. And how man is merging with machine. What is that going to look like? Because it's going to create a different frequency. It's going to emit something. It's going to change the atmosphere totally different. Same way with these people that have the mechanics in them. Those people are going to be emitting a different frequencies, aura, smell, all that shit. All of that's going to change the atmosphere.
It's funny,
right?
as you.
It's carbon dioxide. They're releasing shit into the atmosphere. It's going to change the atmosphere.
And let me please. I want to add this too, real quick. You know, the black body, more specifically, the black body performs what you call cutaneous gas exchange. Cutaneous gas exchange is literally skin breathing. So if you look into Kemet and you see the creation story, they're deifying frogs. So you got to ask yourself, why do they have frogs in the creation story? Well, frogs perform cutaneous gas exchange, which is skin breathing. So they also understand too, when you get a black body in an environment that's very hot, you have a faster exchange rate of carbon dioxide and oxygen through the body. So not only are we taking in life and electricity through the nostrils and through the mouth, but we're also doing it through the body. And this is the reason why we feel the way we do when we're around everything, is because we're literally processing information all the time. And, again, this is where the what do you call them? The religious group, the Mormons, adopted their science from. And they got one of the most racist statements in any religious book where they say the black skin is cursed. Now, why would they say the black skin is cursed? They say that to keep you away from understanding that not only do you process information and light and electricity through, again, the nostrils and the breath, but also through the body. You see, so this is why they got to manipulate the environment. They got to block out the sun, because when you put a black body in an environment that's very hot, that exchange rate changes. You see, so in essence, when you're dealing with the body, we're looking at biochemistry or biochemistry warfare.
Indeed. Let's take a question from Black and Silver. Black and Silver says, can you address the woman's womb being a portal into the natural realm and the sperm being plasma energy?
I'll touch on that. The womb itself is a portal. It's a portal into the physical reality. And within this reality, as we continue to grow up and get older, we always want to direct ourselves back home. And what the Mayans and the Olmecs always reference was the place back home is the Hunab Ku, which is the black hole in the center of the Milky Way. So it's interesting when you look at the concept of coming out of the black hole or the womb. The baby comes out without ever being taught, guided, or anything. It literally knows how to turn right back around and direct itself on the breast. Now, when you look at the breast, it's receiving milk, and the milk is called galactose. So you can run galactose synonymous with galaxy, but you can also run milk with Milky Way. So the etymology of the areola itself means open space. So the baby naturally, when it comes out of the black hole, is already wanting to return back home, but its only reference point back home is the breast.
And the breast milk.
So in essence, it's interesting when you look at the motif of Isis. Isis and Kemet represented the throne that's set at 90 degree at a 90 degree angle, but you notice she's also breastfeeding Heru. That breast milk is there to maintain the integrity of the consciousness so that the baby doesn't completely lose itself after it comes out of the portal into the physical reality and maintain itself.
The suckling of the child, right, of the colostrum fluid does what? This is what is actually, formulating and strengthening the pineal gland. So it's imperative through the suckling, right? And like he said, even in Hebrew, the word Sadai, which is breast, is synonymous with God. You feel me? So these are these mysteries. This is the explanation and the understanding and the overstanding of these concepts, and what they mean and pertain, and breastfeeding is vital, it's key, and if we understand the strength of the woman is she has two wombs, right? Because man is mind and mind is all, but the mind is a womb, right? But she's a womb man, so she has a mind in her womb, and she's a man, so she also got mind, so she's double mind. And what do we always say? She has the stronger magnetism because she purifies her blood 28-day cycles. So it has more iron, which she has increased magnetism, which means what? She makes first contact with the solar winds, right? The solar winds, right? The magnetic fields, how we come into contact with cosmic information and retrieve it, download it, integrate it, and transfer it here. She connects with that first because her field goes out further.
I want to take that further really quick.
Please.
Just in reference to, the sun, again, letting off solar winds. When we're talking about solar winds, we're talking about thermonuclear energy. We're talking about heat. So in Kemet, they reference the heat of the sun, the actual heat of the sun and the solar flares by Segmet. Segmet is a feminine principle. Segmet purifies the blood by way of infrared light, because infrared light is there to stimulate nitrogen in the body to literally become a vacuum to open up to allow the electricity or patah in, right, to stimulate the plasma and electrify the blood, thus animating life. You see, so when you're looking at these motifs, it's always the woman in the position giving the power, because, as we all know, we follow more of a matriarchal, system, in Kemet. So, all these things have an importance to them. All of them have a very symbolic, ancient signature to it, so when we can begin to perceive things from that nature, quite literally and physiologically, we will begin to change. But because we are continuing to perceive our reality from another person's perspective who taught us, right, we're only gauging reality based on a small spectrum. So that's why it's important to understand what they were talking about in ancient chemists, so we can refer that to our present day, you know, and thus unlock, you know, these dormant energies that we naturally have, you know, encoded within us.
I want to show a comment. Naru said our star, the sun, is a black body, not a gas. It's an electrode. Could y'all comment on that? Because we're taught in school and that the sun is this big gas, this big ball of gas. So what do you think about this individual saying our sun is a black body, it's an electrode? And what is an electrode? I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what electrode is.
Yeah, no, you know, the sun itself is a I mean, you know, it's a ring. You know, the sun is hollow, so it's not a big rock that's on fire that we've been, you know, taught that it was. You know, it's a ring, and it's a hyperdimensional gateway. It's a torsion generator. It's a converter of energy, because if you were to look at the sun at its original position, understanding converters, that means it's a step down transformer. So the sun that we're looking at is just the final crystallized version of what this higher force actually is within the cosmos, you know. So, you know, in essence, you know, we are only perceiving a small spectrum of what this force looks like that exists at a very high wattage. But as it begins to step down, it crystallizes into what we see as the sun, which again is a hyperdimensional gateway that serves as a medium between us and higher star systems. It's literally the messenger that's delivering cosmic information to us. And by us being the sensitive instruments, we are here to ground that information and thus relay it back to the sun, so that the sun then can have a reference point outside of its own existence, so we can always create a harmonic convergence within the cosmos to create a level of synchronicity, a level of harmony, you know. Right. But you know, that's
back to that galactic center.
The galactic center. Yeah, the galactic center. So what he's speaking on, yeah, you know, the sun is a gas, but it's a ring, you know, and it's delivering information. And you know, we're only seeing the small remnants of what this force looks like, but when we're finally looking at the sun, that's just again a conversion from something that comes from a very higher dimension.
Indeed, indeed. It's an amazing conversation, y'all. This is an amazing conversation. Let's see. The chat is very active tonight, so I'm just trying to. Somebody said, "What about the beings under the earth?" Yaya Selassie.
According to Aquarius Maximus, you know, with this rising of Atlantis, there would be a lot of interaction and interfacing with those beings in the very near future. You know, possibly next year when a lot of this place becomes a water world. There's been a lot of activity since Fukushima and different earthquakes where they have beings that they've never seen before. You know, what you call it? What they call it when the whales beach themselves? Beaching. Yeah, they ended up on shore and stuff, washing up. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of you know, that subterranean civilization coming to the surface now. You know, merging of worlds and dimensions.
Right.
You know.
You know, eventually they got to release the information. They got to come out with it, because, you know, when we're seeing these sea level floods, you know, we're seeing the advent of the birth of a new continent literally coming up from out of the center of the earth, you know. So, you know, when you're looking at the movies like The Eternals and things of that nature, King Kong versus Godzilla, you know, they're referencing the center of the earth, but, you know, that's quite literally what they're speaking about, because they have to begin to release that information, because, you know, by nature, things are beginning to you know, converge, you know. So, you know, that's a very realistic concept as far as the civilization actually, you know, existing within the center of the earth. That's been documented for eons, you know. And when we think about it, again, we've only been here for a small amount of time. The planet has been here for millions of years, so we don't know what, you know, the planet, you know, consisted of. You know, we're here for a small amount of time, but, you know, in essence, the planet, you know, is always continuing to evolve and change, you know. So,
If they want some references to the inner earth and civilizations and stories to go back, you know, for eons, see if you can get this book, right? You got all the information that you need in there. Mysteries of Mount Shasta, home of the underground dwellers and ancient gods, right? And those of y'all that been in the chat, that been up there, if you know, you know. You feel me?
Right.
So it's at this point, it's so hard to talk to people who don't know or that are not willing to be open-minded to the fact that everything that we've been told is a lie. This shit crazy.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody asks, is Mercury so kind of filter which is closest to the sun?
You know, it being a filter, if we're speaking in the sense of the sun being a transmitter or step down transmitter, you know, Mercury is mercurial, right? It has an 88-day rotation around the sun. It's quicksilver. So that within itself, you know what I'm saying, retains information by way of a charge. You know, Mercury is what Mercury is. It's named after the god of commerce, you know. So it denotes, yes, you know what I'm saying, something that definitely is moving as a direct connection and correlation to that solar entity or that deity called the sun. And yes, by way of the fact that Geminis are you know, are ruled or synonymous with Mercury. So, you know, we saw a lot of you know, we see a lot of mercurial aspects in our brother KanyeWest. You know what I'm saying?
Does the sun have consciousness? Somebody asked.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Everything has consciousness.
Yeah, of course. You know, the sun is doing what the sun does. You know, again, we got to look at this. The universe is not biased. You know, the universe is not a respecter of man. And that sounds crazy, but that's what, you know, the universe is doing what it does. And by default, it's delivering information to us. It's giving us the planets. It's giving us the sun, you know, so it's living in its purpose, you see. So even down to the sun is performing what you call entropy, you know, so it's releasing light by way of being chaotic within the center. And by way of doing that, it's releasing light, but it's not necessarily doing it for a you know, for anything outside of itself. You know, it's just doing what it does, and then we again are to receive that light that's coming from the sun and relay it back to the sun so that the sun can remain conscious. You know, so we are naturally again tethered to the cosmos, and you know, when the universe expands, you know, or when we expand our consciousness, the universe expands, you see, because we live within the mind of God. We live within the mind of the universe. So, you know, everything in the universe is conscious. You know, planets are conscious, you know, sun is conscious, you know, but we will begin to, you know, acquiesce more to that reality as we begin to dive more into ourselves and raise our consciousness, because we will begin to set up a resonance that allows us to naturally communicate with the sun, to then have no fault or no level of doubt at all that the sun is, you know, quite the sun is conscious, you know. But that comes with a level of you know, discipline and in a you know, commoderating the sun, putting the sun in its rightful place. You know, again, we're writing a book called Convos with the Cosmos. You know, we're putting the sun in its rightful place. So, you know, it's without a doubt that we will receive information from the cosmos, because we're doing the due diligence and, you know, figuring out not only, you know, the origins of the sun, you know, but also what the sun does in reference to us.
Functionality.
Exactly.
You know, we pinpointed exactly on a subatomic level where your tethering, where your connection to the sun comes from. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
For those in the chat asking about the workshop, the link, the cryptocurrency workshop that's happening tomorrow, the link will be sent out tonight. So if you're waiting for the link, I seen somebody comment, an elder commented that they didn't get anything yet. The link will be sent out tonight. It's coming from Eventbrite. It will be an Eventbrite email. The link will come tonight for everybody who ordered. Be on the lookout for the link. And I'll send it out several times because I know some people are going to say they didn't get it. Check your spam, your junk. Sometimes it goes to the promotion folder. There's all types of folders with these promotion folder, junk, spam. Check them all, but I will send it out before the workshop. I'm sending it out at least 5 times. So if I'm annoying you with emails, just pardon me, but I got to make sure people get it, so people won't say they didn't get it. I'm gonna take about 3 more questions. It's getting kind of late ahead. We're about an hour and 40 minutes in. We still got about 1,100 people in the chat. Want to thank you all for joining us this Friday with this conversation that has to be had, discussing a lot of things, galactic things. Talked about the brother Rod Hayes. I want to try to get that brother on the show. Talked about Kanye and Drake and, their connection to these constellations. Amazing conversation. Let's get to the next question. I'm going to take about 3 more, and then we're going to get out of here, family. Somebody said, if the cosmos are influencing us, what's influencing the cosmos?
We just spoke on that. As above, so below. We are influencing the cosmos. Me and my brother Blue, we demonstrate that all the time, via IG. We manipulate things by way of understanding that we live within a simulation, and our ancestors always understood to imitate the triple blackness. So when you imitate the triple blackness, and the triple blackness is the unseen reality, it's counter space. It's what the Nazis called the black sun, the dielectric field, the primordial waters of noon. It's the space in between me and my phone. You see, so all the cosmic information within a small square centimeter of space exists the whole mass of the universe. You see, so this is why our ancestors always said to go within, because they understood the atoms, the very atoms that we're made up of, every single atom consists of the whole mass of the universe. So that means we have all the information within the universe in us, and the universe is self-referencing, it's fractal. You see, so in essence, we are the universe experiencing itself subjectively. So we can't really say, or create that separation as if we're somewhere outside. The universe is on the tip of our nose. Again, it's the space in between me and my phone.
Right. Again, yes. If you are composed of cosmic stardust, you are the universe. Exactly. You are the cosmos. The cosmos is you. You are the cosmos. It's within you. It's without you. And you are the reference, you know what I'm saying? Your quote unquote consciousness. Oh shit. You have to come into what? They say the knowledge of yourself. Mm-hmm. Man, know thyself, right? Go within to find out that everything without is connected to you within.
D, let's get to the next question. Can you speak on Tartaria, the technology and the giant people that seem to be erased from history?
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of posts on Tartaria and what have you. But I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a conversation eventually we'll have to have. That's one of those conversations that are, right there at the tip of the spear, that we really haven't dived too much into, So, in essence, that's something that, is important to look into, So when we're speaking about giants and things of that nature, that's in reference to mythology. If you tie back and look back into, ancient history, they document,
but yeah, I'm also mainly interested with the documentation is right here in this country dealing with giants. The giants right in Ohio, the giants right in New Jersey, the giants in Louisiana. The melanated aspects of these giants that they found over here. They call them the Hopewell Indians. They call them the Adena tribe. There's a lot of them. So I'm not saying that my focus is not necessarily on Tartaria and these other places, but what about the information right underneath our feet? You know what I'm saying? That resonates with us directly, you know how many mounds is directly in the area where I'm at right now? Those giants was buried in those mounds, so that resonance is still there. The information can still be tapped into by, getting right on this grid, grounding. Like he said, sun gazing and sunbathing. You know what I'm saying? Making peace with the ecosystem you exist in. That's how you get the information. But the Tartarian thing, I can't give you too much on that.
Right. No, it's important, like you said, to pay attention to where we live at now. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm all around ancient mounds, serpent mounds, So yeah.
Giants was all through there.
Yeah, facts. So it's important to again tap into the grid over here and to not lose focus, because they want to get our attention elsewhere. It's like all the information is right here. So that's what we got to start taking heed to.
Yeah, because I be seeing them like as the Tartarians melanated, because they attribute a lot of shit to them in Europe the Moors are responsible for, such as that architecture. So somebody got to explain that to me. Or is this another mythical, group that they created to not give Moors their credit for their mathematical, architectural, astrological genius?
Right.
All right. Let me see. I'm trying to let me get to the next question. Where was the swastika hijacked from? The swastika.
To my knowledge, the swastika came from the motherland, came from Ethiopia.
Indus Kush civilizations.
Indus Kush civilization, yeah. We're talking about the 4 directions when you're looking at the swastika. We're talking about, the black sun, in reference to, again, they understand that we live within what scientists call a superfluid, but we call it today dark energy, dark matter. The black sun is just that. And again, the people who have the technology, which is the melanin and the pigment, have the capacity to tap directly into counter space. So this is what all the Nazi scientists were doing. And they understood that when you introduce a piece of technology with a high enough voltage within this counter space, that's how you come out creating anti-gravity machines. This is how you extrapolate free energy. You see, so when the Pope is behind closed doors praising the Black Madonna, the Pope is really talking about blackness. What is blackness? Blackness is invisible. Blackness is the full spectrum of light. So when you're talking about infrared light, ultraviolet light, gamma rays, you can't physically see this light because it's quote unquote black. But again, we're talking about all the cosmic information within what we deem empty space, what scientists again call the dielectric field, that melanated people have the capacity to tap into because we are semiconductors who perform photovoltaism. So we have this capacity to be able to do this. So, when they're in their coliseums and mausoleums with tall blue black figures all around, they're paying homage, but they're paying homage to darkness because darkness is where all the information exists.
Well, explain the Ice Age. Who fucked with the sun?
Who fucked with the sun?
No comment on that? No.
Who fucked with the sun? The sun is being fucked with to this day.
I guess for Ice Age to exist, I guess the sun ain't hitting Earth for that period of time. So, is there any reason why the sun just disappeared for that time?
There wasn't ice all over the entire planet. You know what I'm saying? There was ice on the planet just like there's ice on the planet now.
Right. It
was in different regions, right? The planet and the suns are going to be positioned at different angles, right? That's a given. So there was an era in time when there was ice as opposed to there being, liquids and what have you. And then, there was probably a time when the shit came from a gaseous state to a solid state. So it's just going through all of its different iterations, based on whatever density and atmosphere. And that has a lot to do with the oxygen level on the planet. All of that shit deals with this plane of existence going through its different cycles. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, let's get to one last question. Let me just take this one. We talk about this often. Maybe y'all could touch on. Wait, let me see. All right. How do we program this reality or charge the ionosphere?
Breathe. You know what I'm saying? Breathe. You know, come to the quantum meditations that we've been having on this channel consecutively. You know, breathing and meditating, you know, as a quantum collective, you know, 2 or 3 more minds, you know, that have you know, a collectivized thought, you feel me? In the proper breathing and visualization techniques, you know, you have to go within. You have to, you know, once you see yourselves as the center of the universe, then it's that much more easier to program it. Because everything you'll see is connected to you. So you should become the fulcrum. You start spinning and twirling, you know, this thing to manifest with whatever your intent is that you are imprinting on it. And you'll start seeing it manifesting. You'll start magnetizing those things to you to make it your reality. Because everybody on this live, everyone that's listening to this within earshot, you personally are the center of your universe, I didn't say mine, yours. And that's the beauty of having a body. You know what I'm saying? You a fucking top shotter, my nigga. Like, come on.
Blue, I told you this before. I just want to say it again because it makes sense to this conversation. When I was young, before I was programmed by school and everything, my original thought was that I was the center of the universe. And then as I got older, I thought I was being arrogant by thinking like that. And I completely got rid of that whole philosophy of being
the center. I remember that shit. There was no support.
You remember that, right?
There was no support anywhere for it. You was like, yo, maybe I'll just keep it to myself because when I tell people, it pisses them off. And I'm like, I just thought that was the most natural observation ever.
Yeah.
I'm center of the universe.
I thought that for years, man. Then I got rid of that. I got rid of that mentality because I'm like, nah, I can't be. This world is in this life is interesting.
It's all programming. It's all programming, you know. And the beauty of it, like I'm watching a baby now grow up, and you really observe by watching children. It's all programming, right? Because they're like, you know, they got thoughts of their own, you know, initially, but then they through observation or through your level of quote unquote chastising, that they have to start shifting themselves to fit into your world, right? And to fit into your comfort zone because now they have a relationship based on you that they need shit from you. So they're learning at a young age how to appease and please you to get shit that they want from you. They're not necessarily being totally unencumbered their natural self. You're programming them, right? I want you to go to sleep at this time. I want you to shut up when I'm on the phone. They like, come on, bro. They're like, you know what I'm saying? I'm literally just doing me until I evolve into what I'm gonna be coming to. But you start molding that. You know what I'm saying? And then catch issues with them later on in life when they don't hold the programming.
I can attest to that, you know, because I got 4 babies, you know, myself. So, you know, it's a level of independence, but it's a level of program, but, you know, proper programming in a sense that you want to give them the information, you know, that's going to envelope them into a very successful celestial, you know, individual, you know, so that's also taking them outside and engaging all of their 5 senses into nature, which, you know, literally hemisyncs the brain and deems them as whole brain thinkers. So when you can get them to tap into nature at an early age, you know, you allow them to engage and thus develop, you know, a soul, right? So, but we're so accustomed to putting them in front of the TV or, you know, putting them in front of a 2-dimensional book when that, you know, doesn't give them the full experience to whatever they're trying to learn. So it's important for you to engage them into nature at an early age, because kids teach you how to be parents, right? So you have to continue to acquiesce to their behavior, because they're following their own journey, even though we are here to guide them and direct them. At the end of the day, they came here for a purpose. So, we got to kind of fashion our environment and, our situation in such a way to allow them to be successful, but also keep that strong hand on them, and guide them based on not only, again, a level of independence, but also, a level of proper programming.
And the correlation is so dope because it's like we're teaching teachers, right? These little people, our sons, it's the same relationship that we have to the son, because we're like, find a balance where you can teach them enough to position them to teach you enough. And it's a relay now, right? And it's a very thin balance. And what we're saying is that, all right, what happens when that balance gets thrown off? Then you have society. You know what I'm saying? But the way that we scientifically did it was what? We would know what the nature of that child was, because there would have been intentional programming put into creating that child. So when they're born and you get their chart, you're like, okay, he's gonna be an X, Y, Z. So let me, my molding and my teaching and my positioning is aimed towards that specifically. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that no more. We winging it, and people are later on finding out that their children are really, their parents, and they.
Yeah. And I would suggest that, to have kids, it's important to, get a natal reading done for them at an early age, see where their planets were at when they were born. Like Blue said, we're not strategic anymore. We conceive, the idea is to conceive under certain, when the planets are aligned in certain ways, and, this planet is trying this one, it's important to understand that cosmology, because in essence, when you bring life into this world, the body is going to be fashioned based on where the planets are positioned, so we got to begin to have a more celestial canopy perspective when it comes to conceiving, because the baby is going to, develop in a way where, it's going to acquiesce to more of its celestial purpose,
Right. The reading can tell you, why this child might be doing something specifically that might be getting on your nerves that you don't have the tolerance for. And then you start developing tolerance for it, because you're like, this is the nature of that child. I'm not going to be able to change them, and it wouldn't benefit me in the long run to even attempt to do so. So let me grow up. Let me find out what about it makes me so discomforted. You know what I'm saying? And then you do what you need to do. But there's information, and there's these systems out here that just have like, if we really utilize the information that's available to us, like I said, we would be so far ahead of the game. Like the brother that was breaking down the cardology for me was explaining the relationship between Drake and Kanye via their cards, and he said that Drake sits in or Kanye sits in Drake's Jupiter, which means that, he's responsible for, again, making things so magnanimous. They can make a lot of money together. He can really blow them up, which he initially did by giving him the co-signature, but the way that it's juxtaposed now, they said that Drake is sitting in his Mars, and we saw that yesterday. You know what I'm saying? He went straight into Mars mode, right? He's Mars. He has a natural aversion to want to battle this nigga or confront him in a way in which is not going to be necessarily acrimonious to how Kanye wants to kumbaya. You feel me? And then, the way that he was able to even explain some things when it deals with these cosmic suits of these cards, you can tell which suit is an older generation. So he can even look at the cards and say, yo, this is your 35th time back here. This is this nigga's 16th time. He's a baby, right? You can find in your household that your Wiz is cosmically older than you, and you the baby in your crib. How do you deal with that in a relationship? You feel me? And it will help solve a lot of mysteries. You know, we out here bumping our heads because we moving blind through the darkness, nonetheless. But this information, nigga, you can see the sun at midnight. We got to get this information so we can be scientific with how we moving out here, man, and create these babies, you know, because all this information is for naught. We're not idolizing or, you know, fantasizing behind quote unquote entertainers and stars. We're utilizing this as teaching moments to say, look how the energy plays out, right? You're a cosmic being as well. So there's a narrative and a script that you're playing out as well. Are you willing to do the work and search for it and find yourself in the narrative and in the story? You know what I'm saying? A la like a never ending story. You know what I'm saying? You crack that book open and find out that the book is about you. You know, so we've experienced that in our own personal journeys. And again, my apologies. I'm just impassionate, you know, about the opportunity to tell these mythos because I know that I was probably here in other lifetimes doing that. You know what I'm
saying? Facts. Hey man, I want to thank you gentlemen for coming on the show tonight. Agreeing to come on. I know y'all, I called y'all last minute today. I just called y'all today about the show. So I appreciate y'all coming on, dropping this information for the people for 2 hours, man. It's a great show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure y'all all tap into the workshop tomorrow. Posting the link right now. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I will send out the link to join the workshop tonight. I will resend it again tomorrow, family.
And I want to say that you know, we didn't even plan it like this because, like you just said, you know, it wasn't even planned. But today is the 344th day of the year, which leaves 22 days left. Right? So me and this brother 44 speaking about another 44 resonator. You know what I mean? With 22 days left to the year, to this new year. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful situation, you know, that we find ourselves in. But it's imperative that we get ready for next year, because if you position yourself correctly, you can really, really, you know, ride a economic upturn wave, but it's not going to last forever. We got to get Ross Ben on the show so he could do his cosmic breakdown for next year. It's elaborate. All right, with that,
leave your contact info before y'all get out of here.
Yeah, BluePillar44 on IG at BluePillar44. Same on Twitter, BluePillar44 at Gmail. Cosmic Dust, COZMIKDUST.com if you want, you know, any of this drip or what have you. And GoWater.com, GOLDEWATER, GoWater.com. Peace.
Real quick, I don't know if that's the brother Rod Hayes. I mentioned his name earlier. If it is you, brother, I want you to email me so I could get in contact with you about being on the show. Hit me up on the email, brother. If that's, I don't know if that's you, if somebody just using that name, but I'll find out eventually if you email me. But otherwise, I'm gonna try to hit you on a DM and Instagram. But yeah, Alkebulan, did you left your contact info yet? I'm not even sure.
Alkebulan_44 on IG. Tap into the Bill 45. Shoot me a DM. You know, it's a constant. You know, it's a very elaborate experience in reference to delivering information that's not necessarily the public is privy to. You know, so it's a conversation and it's a build in reference to certain topics, you know, that I speak on. So those interested, tap in with me. The Bill 45. Shoot me a DM. God Body Challenge. Make sure you partake into that, you know, because again, we're talking about, you know, high level cosmic, you know, information on this channel, but it's important to also allow our body and give our body its just due to be able to, you know, acquiesce to the universe, to be able to pull in information and, you know, these downloads, etc. So the God Body Challenge does just that. You know, it's a 3 to 5 day water fast. So other than that, family, you know, that's all I got. And, you know, it's been a great one.
All right, family. I'll see most of y'all tomorrow at the workshop. Other than that, thanks for coming out. Peace, family.
Peace.
Peace.